Any questions, any doubts till the last session?
No, Ramya.
Okay. Yeah. So we have batch 10. Okay. So yesterday we saw how to scan different elements using properties option, right? So today let's see the remaining techniques how to uh, for identifying the elements. When I'm saying the remaining techniques, what do I mean is though we have properties, still sometimes you may not identify the element uniquely. So what is the other way that you approach? Other way around. Okay. So I'm doing a shift right click scan HTML here on my folder, and this is my application that I want to scan. You can select the application either by double clicking on it or by selecting this and clicking on the scan button. Anyways will work. And now this is the advanced view of XScan window. Okay. Here we already discussed about the basic view and condensed view. And what is this finish screen button? This is nothing but in order to say that I am completed with scanning of this particular screen so that I can close this screen and I can open another screen again. Okay, this means that we are done. When we are done with our scanning, we will click on this finish screen button. The next one is highlight selection. What is highlight selection mean? For suppose here I have books and here also I have books, right? So which books is representing which one? There are two books on my UI as well. So which one is represented by which one? So in order to know that, just click on these books and click on highlight selection. See, then it will be highlighted in the pink color. See in the background you can see. Okay, so this is nothing but to highlight the controls, not only any control. Okay, see, it highlights in this way. There is Tricentis demo web shop. Okay, so if it is registered, okay, compact. So that comes here in the popular tag. That is how we highlight. The next button is if you want to deselect this highlight mode, click on it so it will be deselected. The next one is select on screen. Select on screen, we already know. This is nothing but in advanced view. If we want to select our elements and all, we usually click on select on screen and click on that particular element on the web page. And again click on select on screen in order to disable it. So this is all about select on screen button. The next one is identification by. We will discuss about this in the later. Okay. So coming to the next one, see this is nothing but actually this is the filter area. Okay. And if you are dragging it to the left at most, okay, to the extreme left, it means whatever items that you have selected, those items will be coming up here. If you are dragging it to the right to the complete right, okay, the entire DOM structure of the web page will be loaded. See, the entire DOM structure of this particular web page will be loaded here. When I am saying DOM structure is nothing but the particular web page structure, which tells us like where the controls are placed in the entire web page and what are the properties that these controls are having in it. Okay, so the DOM structure is the one which tells us all these details. Usually, web pages, you can see the DOM structure by pressing on F12 button. If you press on F12 button, and this is the DOM structure in the elements. See, the same thing will be loaded in our Tosca also. Okay. And now, usually, some people will go, and if you know, if you are very well versed with these DOM structures and all, you can go here, you can go through each of these sections, and from here also you can select the appropriate controls that you want for your test. Okay, but selecting here will become very difficult because we don't know this DOM structure and all, right? So every time for every page it will be in a different way. So we can't understand that. That is the reason we will go for the select on screen mode. Okay, or else this is also one of the way that we can do. And next, there is a filter button. This filter is nothing but it is used to filter the elements that are coming up in this screen. Okay, like now if you want only buttons to be displayed, so just control type instead of selecting all, just select it as button. See, these are the buttons that are available in the web page. So this is how you can just filter the controls here. Okay, so once if you are done with your filter, then you can say clear filter. And the next one is search. Search is nothing but to search for a specific control. For suppose now I want a control which is related to jewelry. So just type jewelry. See, these are the controls that are having jewelry. I can just say next, next. So these are the controls. So it says found first occurrence, same as our find. Okay, and next one is the show content preview. This one will be discussed in the later classes. Okay, and next one is select new application. This is nothing but now I'm done with scanning of this application. So I want to start a fresh scan again. I want to scan another application or another screen. So I will just click on this, select new application. Then see, again my previous XScan window will come up, and here again I can select the required application that I want to scan, and I can scan that application. Okay, so this is the main purpose. The last one is close. Close is nothing but to close this XScan view. Okay, any questions, any doubts till this? No? Okay, perfect. So now let us again go back to our old topic, that is identification by properties and all. Okay, so I just kept it to the left and now minimized it. Say select on screen, and now I'm just selecting some of the elements. So register, login. Okay, 1 minute. Excuse me. Okay, books, computers, electronics, apparel and shoes, digital downloads, computers, electronics, apparel. So some other controls I identify. Okay. Now let us maximize this and see. See, yesterday we already discussed this. Tosca has already identified register uniquely by using inner text and tag. The same way login also. The same way this computers also. The same way this electronics also. But what happened with these controls? It says they are not unique. So let us make them unique. So this is also one of the books. Okay. So what else can I select in the properties in order to make it unique? I'm asking you people only. What else can I select in the properties in order to make it unique?
href can we take?
Okay, href, no use. It is
No, but Ramya, here we have not selected books, but still it is showing us in yellow color.
where you did not select books. I did not
No,
understand.
we are having two books right in the main page,
Yes.
but here we have selected only uh, one book, but still it is showing is in yellow color.
See, either you select one control or two controls. This particular control that you are identifying is compared with the controls from the web page only, not with this list.
Okay.
Yeah. Href is not working. Anything else? Anybody
Outer
else?
text.
Yeah. Outer text? No.
Ah, it's path. It's path.
No XPath. Sorry to say that, but strictly no XPath. Don't use XPath. Outer HTML? No. Inner HTML? No. So, if you observe, whatever properties I select, still this book is not unique. So, how do I handle this scenario? I want some more properties along with this. So, that is the reason. Here you have a button, you can see, right? Load all properties. So, I'm going to click on this button. And see here, now the number of technical parameters, technical properties of my particular control have been increased, and in addition to technical I also got some reflected parameters as well. So now let's try to select some more from them. Okay, so yeah, until here we already saw, and don't go for the parameters which are having style in their name. Okay, those are not useful. So all these are style parameters only. So I'm just going down, 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 down. Yeah, and here we have. Do we have a title? No. Tosca catchy? No need. Tosca remote ID and all not required. So we have some visible inner text. So let me select that. No use. Next. Let's see. Are there any properties in the reflected which are related to books? No, right? I can't see much. Same inner text and inner HTML. We already tried with this. Outer text and outer HTML. And we have something like text content text dot, but no use. Okay. So now in this scenario, what is the other way? Now I can clearly say that whatever properties I use, still I am not able to identify my books uniquely. Right. So now the other way for this is by using a different concept, that is anchor concept. Okay, if we are not able to identify by properties, then we will identify by anchor. Before we try to identify this control using anchor, let us see what is anchor and what do I mean by it. Coming to anchor method, for suppose now you are think like you invited me to your home, okay, and you are staying somewhere near high tech city, and you just call me to your home, and I don't know the exact address of your home, though you send the location to me. So what do I ask for? I will ask you for a landmark. So obviously you will say Cyber Towers is one of the landmark. So come to Cyber Towers and from there come to my home. right? So in the same way, in the web page here also, we are not able to identify this control uniquely. Think this control as your home. So what you will say, you will look for a landmark. You will look for a control which is already unique. What do you mean by landmark? The control which is unique, right? So we will look for a control which is unique, and using that control, we will reach this one. Shall I repeat the concept once again, or are you clear? Perfect. Remaining people, yes, no. Okay, I think then everybody is clear. So moving ahead, so in the same way here also, in Tosca also, we are going to pick up a control which is already unique, and we will mark it as, we will use it as an anchor tag for our control, and using this anchor tag, we are going to the control which is not unique. Okay, and how do we do that basically is here. Please observe this procedure. This is one of the important questions that comes up in interviews. Okay. So now I selected books. Okay. And then I will click on identify by anchor. Okay. So this is the identify by anchor window. Okay. I'm just dragging it this side so you all can see clearly. Sometimes this anchor control will come up automatically. We all know Tosca, right? Like in the properties also, it will try to select some default properties and try to make the control unique. So in the same way, even when we are trying to identify by anchor, sometimes it will select the anchor control and it will give it to us. But sometimes it will not do that, like this. Okay, it will be blank. And coming to this anchor identification, we have two different algorithms, and we are not working much on these algorithms and all, but we should just know what are these algorithms and how do they come up and all. Okay, so the two different algorithms that we have is, one is the shortest path algorithm. That means you have to choose an anchor control which is having shortest distance between your home and the landmark. Okay, so when you are saying shortest path algorithm, Tosca will automatically search for a control which is in the shortest distance. Okay, and the other one is the coordinate algorithm. This is nothing but the x and y coordinates, dependent on the x and y coordinates of the landmark and your home. Okay, so these are the two algorithms. Usually we will select this as auto. So whatever control comes up, either it could be through this algorithm or through this algorithm, let it come here, is what we meant by auto. This is mainly because we use this mainly because Tosca will sometimes identify the anchor control automatically. So when it is trying to identify the anchor control, it should know which algorithm should it follow. So that times this will be useful. But right now in our scenario, it did not identify any control automatically. So we are the ones who is going to decide our anchor control. Okay, and now if you observe, this is the books icon, right? So let's see, where is this books. Let me highlight section. See, it is highlighted below the categories. Okay, so now if you are trying to identify an anchor control, what is the control that you would identify for these books? Any guess? See, today we don't have much people because everyone has their own reasons and they are not attending the classes. Later, they will go through the recording. I want all of you to respond as we have very less count. So now I am asking, so this book is your home. So Which one will you select as a landmark to your home?
Categories.
Categories. Okay. And remaining people? Sairam, Santosh. Any guess you can say me. Anything. It's okay. It can be any control. Okay. Let me try with categories then. So now here, see there are two ways to place your anchor in position. Okay. The first way is through this select on screen button. The other way is to drag and drop that particular control. Okay. I will show you both the ways. The first way is to select on screen. So I'm just minimizing this and this one also I'll pull it here. Okay. So now I'm saying select on screen here and I'm just selecting the control that I want. Categories. Okay. So then come back and click on this select on screen again. See, my categories has been listed. But unfortunately, what does it say? The anchor control is not uniquely identified. This categories itself is not unique, is what it says. So that is the reason. See, if I am asking you for a landmark, you should not show me a house which is not unique, right? You should not show me your neighbor's house. You should show me some landmark which is pretty understandable and which is unique so that I can identify it clearly, right? So this is not the proper anchor control. So in order to remove these categories, right click on it and say remove anchor. So it will remove your anchor. Now let's try again. Okay, I'm saying select on screen and now even these controls are unique, right? So let us say computers. Okay, and let us click on select on screen again. See, the target control was successfully identified. Okay, and it is green in color. And if you observe, now books is a unique control and it also got a symbol which says relative ID. This is how we identify by anchor using select on screen mode. Any questions, any doubts till this point?
Uh, Ramya,
Yes.
actually we need anchor tag for books, but you have selected computers. Then how it worked?
See here, this book is your home. This computer is
Yes.
cyber towers.
Okay.
Okay. Still, shall I repeat it again? I don't mind.
Yeah. Just overview.
See, what I mean to say is, I am not able to identify books uniquely. Right? So, what I ask you to do, show me a control which can be identified uniquely. So, using that uniquely identified control, I will approach near the books. So, that is the reason we say identify by anchor and then we clicked on this computers. Now, this computers is uniquely identifiable. So, what will happen whenever I want to approach near books? I will first navigate my control to computers, and through computers, it will be navigated to books. Okay, like I will first reach Cyber Towers and then your home in the same way. Okay, now the other way of identifying anchor, let's see that. So this is also one of the control which is non-unique. So here also I'll say identify by anchor. Okay. And in the anchor control here, instead of doing this select on screen, I'm dragging and dropping. I can drag and drop any control which is unique. I can drag and drop computers, electronics, books, okay, or else apparel. So let me drag and drop apparel. Drag it and drop it near the anchor control box. Okay, see, now this computers is identified by anchor using apparel control. So even this is one of the way to create anchor. Always you need not select it from the screen only. Any questions, any doubts till this point? How to create anchor, how to remove anchor is what we saw. And here, these are the properties of the anchor control. Okay, yeah. So now let's move on. So now we identified controls using anchor control. What if we are unable to identify using anchor control also? Sometimes it may happen, right? Sometimes you may not have any unique controls and then you cannot identify by anchor. Then what is the other way around? When we are not able to identify by anchor, the other one which helps us is index. The third priority goes to identify by index. Okay, so all that you say is identify by and index. When we are saying identify by index, usually what will happen? You will see two numbers here. What are these two numbers? Means, see, for suppose, think like you are living in a gated community, okay, and in some villas and all. So all these villas, when we look at them, they look very identical, right? All the buildings will have the same color, same structure and all, and they look very identical. So if you say come to the villa which is having blue paint on it, I can't go because every villa will have the blue paint on it. So, okay, so that is the reason I should ask you like out of these 20 villas that I am seeing, what is the number of your villa? Let's say come to the sixth one. So that six number is here and 20 number is here. In web page perspective, identify by index, the numbers which we are getting are nothing but there are two elements which are having similar set of properties that you have selected. And out of these two elements, this is the second one. I am repeating my statement once again. I'll show you one more thing. Now here if you observe for this electronics, we have selected the inner text as electronics and tag as A. So what is happening is when we are clicking on identify by index, okay, you can switch between these two tabs here. It says that there are two elements which is having inner text as electronics and tag as A. And out of these two elements, you are working with the second element. Okay. For suppose if I remove this inner text as electronics, so now what will happen? Will the numbers change over there?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. Because now I am saying look for an element which is having tag as A. So there are 99 elements which are having tag as A. But among these 99 elements, ours is the 33rd one. This is nothing but identification by image. So you can just click on this. Immediately you will get a hash icon over here. This is nothing but constraint index they call it. What do they mean by constraint index is nothing but among these many controls, this is the index position of my control. Okay, that is what they meant by constraint index. So this is the identify by index technique. Can anybody say me what is the disadvantage of identification by index? Don't think from too much Tosca perspective, think from a generic way, normal way. If I am saying come to the sixth building, and what is the difficulty that may come up? Every time I may not be the sixth building, right? What if they build another villa in the beginning? So my position becomes seven. And still I say, come to the sixth building. So they will go to the other people's home. Am I correct? But if they are building a new building at the end, then that will not affect me at all. Still I am number six only, whatever be the end number. The main focus is on the very first number. Okay? Any questions, any doubts on this? Are you clear? Okay, I hope no questions. So the next technique is, for suppose if you are not able to identify by index also, then what is the other solution? See, usually in real time we can either identify by properties and anchor most of the times. With these two techniques, all the controls will be scanned. Okay, and sometimes we may go to identify by index also, but we will never ever come to identify by image. Okay, but I will show you how to do that. But in real time, we are not going to use it at all. Okay, so don't pay much time. Don't spend much time on identification by image. Instead, try to understand these two, anchor and index. Okay, that is the reason I am saying it. So now, if you want to identify by image, all you need to do is select the control, click on identify by and choose image over here. Okay, and usually see it will defaultly take some particular images, but anyways it will ask us to identify, click and select that particular image. So click on this plus icon and see, this is the image that we want. Okay, so it says apparel and shoes. Okay, so you can just see my image, apparel and shoes. Here it will ask you, do you want to consider only image identification for next time? Say it as no, because we are not going to use image identification at all. Maximize this. So can you see my image here? Apparel and shoes. So coming to this image, it will have the screen resolution, accuracy, and in which method did we click on it, and what is the offset value of it. All these details will be present for the particular image. Okay, and this is the image of the pen. And see, the icon will be like a small photo sort of a symbol, image sort of a symbol. So this is all about the identification by image. Any questions in the four different identification techniques that we discussed today? No? Okay. Among the four identification techniques, the first three are the very important one. The first one is the identification by properties. If we are unable to identify by properties, then we will try to load more properties. But still, if you are unable to identify your control using any of the properties, then we will go for the anchor method. If we are not having any anchor tags and if we cannot even use anchor, then we will go for identification by index. Using index, we will try to identify how many similar elements are there and what is the position of our current element and our. So most of the times it will be unique within these three. If for suppose, if still it is non-unique, okay, and then you will come to the identification by image, where you will click on the picture of that particular control. That's all. These are the four different techniques, and this is one of the important interview question also. They may ask you in detail about these four different techniques. Okay. Now let's see what are the properties that will come up. Okay. So I'm just deselecting these controls here. Okay, now all my controls are unique. If you observe, for books, we used identification by anchor. And what is the anchor control? Computers. And for computers also, we used apparel as the anchor control. And coming to electronics, we used identification by index. And the index number is 33 out of 99. And the last one is identification by image. Okay, so now I'm just saying finish screen. Okay, and now see here, when I say finish screen, I can again kickstart my automation scanning. Okay, by pressing on scan screen. So again it will load and again I can quickly scan it. But if you don't want to do it, just close it. Okay, don't click on that scan screen. So now this is the module that I got today. So see here, usually we all saw yesterday also, whatever properties that we are selecting, those properties are coming up and sitting in these properties in the Tosca commander, right? So for login, we selected inner text and tag. For computers, we selected inner text and tag. For electronics also, inner text and tag. But for books, what did we select? We selected identification by anchor tag. So, if you remember, when we are identifying by anchor tag, you can see a icon beside the control and it says relative ID. See, that particular relative ID property came up here. Whenever we are identifying by anchor tag, relative ID is the property that will show up in the properties. And what does this relative ID consist of? It consists of the details of the anchor control. For books, we used computers as our anchor controls. So if you're, I'm just doing a control V, control C, and I will paste it in a notepad, control V. See here, this is usually in the form of tags. See, the inner text of the anchor control is computers. Okay, and the tag of the is A. So this is nothing but my anchor control that I have used. In the same way, for computers, we used apparel as our anchor control. So look at the relative ID property, control E, control C, and here control A, control V. See, for apparel also the same way. Inner text is apparel, tag is A. So these are the properties. So those properties are listed out in the respective relative ID. And if you observe, remaining controls, whatever are identified by using properties or image or index, they will not have this relative ID property. Only the controls which are identified by using anchor control will have the property as identified by relative ID. Okay. And the next one is we identified this control electronics using index position. And what is the number of the index? 33 out of 99. And if you remember, when we are mousing it over, we got the name as constraint index. So see, here we got the property of constraint index. And what is the value of this constraint index? It is 33. That is nothing but this is the 33rd element out of my 99 elements. This is the sixth building out of the 20 buildings here. Okay, that is the constraint index property. The next one is apparel and shoes. How did we identify this? We identified this by using the image technique. Whenever we identify a control using identification by image, scrolling behavior is the default property which will be added. And depending upon the position of the control that you are using, right now my apparel and shoes is in the center of the web page. So that is the reason this scrolling behavior has ended up being center. If you are having some control which is at the end of the page or at the bottom of the page, then it will be bottom. If or else it will be top. Okay, it depends on the position of the control you are identifying by using image methodology. Okay, and this is already scanned one, and this is generic by itself using inner text and tag properties. Any questions, any doubts till this point? Yes, no, no. Perfect. So now you know all four different ways of identification, right? So today I want all of you to go through different websites. Okay. Most of Please don't go through different websites most of the times. See, when we are picking up any website, make sure it is having some proper controls and all, because you are still in the beginning part, right? So I don't want you to mess up by going through, especially these Airways websites and all. They have lots of calendar controls, so don't go over there. Okay, better either practice it using demo web shop, or else your Gmail, or else your Facebook registration page and all. So whatever website is having some proper elements sorted in an order and all, go for it. Okay, without having much calendar icons and dynamic values. So go to those particular websites and you can try to scan those controls uniquely by using the properties, anchor tag, index, and image techniques. Okay, so please complete this task today before you come to the class tomorrow. And if you are facing any issues when you are scanning for these controls, then you can reach out to me. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think this is pretty much today. So let's end this class till this point, because if I start the next topic, it will end up in midnight. So I just don't want to do that. So please complete until this point, and tomorrow we will pick up a basic test case and we will start automating it. Okay, that is the registration flow we are going to complete tomorrow. And then once we are happy with the normal happy path, then we will go for the reusable blocks, loops and all. Okay? Don't worry. Thank you everyone. Thanks for your time. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.